Still ahead on San Diego People, we're going to talk to the executive director and the founder of Second Chance Programs, which provides local services to help prison inmates transition to life on the outside. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to San Diego People. This week, about 260 inmates were released from San Diego County jails. Rehabilitation experts argue that not enough thought and money has been given to transitioning those released inmates back into society. With me now is Scott Silverman. He is the founder of Second Chance, which is an organization committed to helping inmates. Second Chance, that is easy for me to say. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for letting me be here. Appreciate it.
All right. You're the author of a book, Tell Me No, I Dare You, which came out about a year ago. Let me hold this up so folks can look at it. What is your organization about?
Well, what Second Chance does is we help provide jobs and housing for the hardest to serve individuals who have substance abuse histories, individuals who have criminal histories, and sometimes individuals who have just no job history. About 20% of the folks we serve are just folks coming back into the workforce, and we're seeing a lot of that right now in our current economy. So what we do is we give them a 4-week training and show them how to go get a job and keep it, and over the next 2 years we'll follow them up and be part of their support system and also an extension of the human resource department for employers in our community. So one thing we're always looking for is employers who are looking for people that are job ready, have a good attitude, and want to help make them money.
This sounds like a massive undertaking. It rolls off your tongue so quickly, but we're talking about people with no IDs, no jobs, most of them, many of them, no place to live.
Correct.
So how are you able to do all of this?
Well, what we do that's kind of unique is we put together what we call a 3-prong approach. The housing piece is critical. The first 24 hours when an individual is released from a facility, if we can get them in our housing, they have a 70% better chance of being successful.
Okay, wait, I got to stop you. If you can get them in your housing...
I'm here for you. Whatever you want to know, I'm going to tell you.
I mean, how do prisoners come to you, or inmates who are newly released?
Well, individuals, for example, in our county jail system, what they do is they correspond with us. But we have staff right now. We work very closely with Gore and his sheriff's department right now and probation. And we're actually inside talking to the inmates that are going to be coming back to our community. Because generally when you've done the crime, you're going to have to do the time, and then you're going to be on probation or even parole once you get out of state prison.
But these newly released inmates are not subject to any parole.
Well, they're not per se by definition, but they're individuals that are staying in our community. For example, the 200 plus you talked about, 90 of them were bused out of George Bailey, brought downtown because that's a central point for them to get access to transportation. So imagine how the downtown residents are feeling right now. All of a sudden they have 90 new guests who have no money, no source of income, no identification, and no job. And they've just come from what I call the Criminogenic Thinking Institute of how to be a better criminal.
Oh, wow. That's another whole show, I'm sure. But walk us through what happens then when they come to you.
What they do is they come to us. If they correspond with us, they meet one of our staff that are on the inside. We bring them into our housing. We have housing all throughout the community. It's an alcohol and drug-free housing, zero tolerance, which means it's a tough love program. So you come to our housing, and what we do is we ask you to go to class for the next 4 weeks, 9 to 5. It's like a real job. It's a training, very structured. And if you're successful and graduate, according to our data, and you stay with the program for the 2-year follow-up, 70% of those who go through it will not recidivate. So that's a program that's been studied. We have evidence around that. We have a model we've been trying to take to the state for almost 7 years and say, this will work. This will save the taxpayer $8 for every dollar spent. We still haven't got the state to bite into it yet.
So how many people actually stay with the program?
We currently are able to house up to 172 individuals on a monthly basis. Our classroom capacity is about 50 graduates per month, but about 100 come in to get 50 graduates. And of the 50 that graduate, 60% of those will get a job, and after 2 years, 60% of those will still be working in a job. So it's pretty significant.
Those are great numbers.
They are.
How do you get them to stay?
Well, we kind of love them back to society, if you will, and we kind of become their surrogate family. We're kind of like their gang, if you will, or their posse, or their family. And what we do is through our 3-prong approach, which is the workforce piece, the housing component, the mental health support, because all 3 of those are important. Like all of us, we all need a job to have income, and with a job we have access to health care, and if we have a place to live, we can stay inside safely, and if we have problems, most of us have family or friends we can talk to, or you can get on the phone and talk to Courtney, and she'll tell you what you need to do next. So we all have that infrastructure and that family, if you will, and we become that family for folks who don't have a family.
So all of these newly released inmates, aren't organizations like yours going to be overwhelmed? I mean, how do you handle the bigger numbers?
That's assuming they're going to walk in our front door. And if we haven't communicated with them pre-release, they're pretty much going to go do, we have a saying, if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. Now, these are individuals who have been incarcerated for maybe up to 9 months. They have a new degree in criminogenic thinking. We call it the PhD of FU, which is Failure University, which is what our jail and prison system is. And right now, you know, you should know that the 290 is not a lot of folks. If you think about 110,000 people go through our county jail system every year, right here in San Diego. Those are people get arrested, spend time, and then exit out of the jail system. And the prison system, we have over 9,000 parolees coming to San Diego every year. We're the 4th largest city in the country. So these folks have been walking around our community right now committing the crimes that have gone on. Because when you hear it in the news today, you guys report, the first thing you hear is they're on probation, they're on parole. Used to be they're just homeless, or they're an individual who got caught for a crime. So they've been labeled differently now because they've always been there. Now, because of the budget deficits and because of the economy, it's just a bigger issue.
Why are we doing this? We've got 30 seconds left. Why are we not doing this on a much bigger scale?
Well, someone's either in denial, or they don't want to put money into it, or they don't know how to do it.
We don't have any money.
Well,
would be the argument.
We spend $11 billion to keep 170,000 inmates in prison. We can spend 1% of that for rehab. We can spend 1% of that for housing, job training, and going back to school. And that would be enough money to get pilot programs going throughout the state. So we spend the money. We just don't want to manage it differently.
Yeah, we don't necessarily spend it, in your opinion, in the right place.
Well, I think everyone agrees with that. $11 billion to cage 170,000 people, and 95% of them get out. So we know they're coming to our neighborhoods,
Absolutely.
And they're coming out with more skills on how to be a better criminal. That's the problem.
Silverman, keep up the good work. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.